What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome back to Runescape. In this video I'm going to be talking you through my experiences of duo Araxxor testing out the Noxious tier 90 Scythe along with using perked up Torva armor that I've recently perked up with very similar perks to my Virtus setup. If you watched that lengthy video where I went through my full Virtus setup, it's a pretty much the same setup as that. However, instead I already had crackling on my scythe, so I've just kept it there for now. Of course I could swap that out for Equilibrium 3, but instead on my Torva plate body I've now got Devoted 2 on there as well as Absorptive. So more defensive perks you could say, but Devoted works a dream here at Araxxor because you are constantly, well, the majority of the time you are praying let's say range protect prayer. So if you Devoted activates, then you're just going to prevent any incoming damage coming in, so that's fantastic. Along with my setup on paths 1 and 3, when I did paths 1 and 3 with a mate of mine called Chewy, who I've been streaming with recently and having a great laugh with. I know you guys have been enjoying Chewy being on the streams as well, aka the Pie Man, or also known as Chewbacca. Well, basically he gave me a huge tip, and everyone who is watching, around summer pies. They are like 1k each right now from the Grand Exchange, compared to 3.8k each of Rocktail. They heal 76 more life points than a Rocktail, however you have to eat it twice. But you can eat them very quickly now. Every time you eat, of course, it uses up 10% adrenaline, but when you're in path 3, you're constantly just running up and down. You can get out of combat and then just eat the pies. And yeah, just eat all the pies. It's great, and it heals you quite nicely. And if you go into miscellaneous settings, you can set the option where once you've eaten the pie dish will just disappear automatically. Very similar to the option of when you drink a potion, the vial just disappears. I've also got Disruption Shield on my ability bar, and that was thanks to a mate of mine called Buffy, who gave us the tip around this. So essentially, with the Disruption Shield, it requires 10 body runes, 3 astrals, and 3 blood runes. And once you go into phase 4, you go through that little cutscene, that animation. Well, whilst that's happening, I spam click my escape to store my adrenaline. And you want to be starting phase 4 with 100% adrenaline. So as I start phase 4, I'm spam clicking my escape. And then once I escape out, I will then use the Disruption Shield, which, by the way, the animation of that lunar spell is so badass. Like, it looks so cool with all the glowing lights just going around your head. So it looks really cool. So I activate the Disruption Shield, which I've got keybinded to the letter R on my action bar. And the effect of Disruption Shield, essentially, is that it allows you to tank the first hit. So the first hit from any target will not damage you. So it's really, really useful when you're duoing Araxxor very high in rage, because that very first hit, if you do miss it because you're zerking and then you're adren potting and then you're trying to get that first ability out, and when you're using a scythe, you're trying to get within the stance of where you're not within melee distance, so you can prayer switch between magic and range effectively. So if you're doing that switch, essentially, it allows you to prepare a bit more. So if you're inexperienced, or even if you're experienced, it's nice to use this because it prevents that first hit from damaging you whilst you're sorting out and getting into the flow of your prayer flicking. Because that first hit, if you do miss it, it can hit you like 6k plus, and that 6k plus is a huge proportion of your life points, especially when you're within a zerk, and therefore it just encourages and it just provokes more panic within the fight. So Disruption Shield is really nice here. But all in all, the Noxious Scythe, absolutely awesome. Now, I did say I was going to test this out. I've been using it now for the past week or so at Araxxor whenever I've gone. I've used it on paths 1 and 3 first. But essentially, if you are going to use it on paths 1 and 3, you want to obviously take path 3 rather than path 1 at the beginning, and then you can walk Araxxor up and down that path and prevent any of the special spiders from spawning. So if you're in a duo, you both want to be walking underneath Araxxor at the same time, because Araxxor will switch between you. And therefore you also want to be using Anticipate and Freedom when you get to the end of each tunnel, otherwise you get stunned and get 2k hits. But anyway, once you're walking under Araxxor, you can just flick Soul Split on and just heal all the way back up to full health. And then what you find is, in duo Araxxor kills, you hardly use any food really, because of the Soul Split approach that you can take, and also the kill is a lot quicker. It's about 2/3 of a solo kill in terms of kill speed, and sometimes it can be double the kill speed depending on what rotation it is. But essentially you don't use that much food, so you've got plenty of food to emergency heal or whatever in phase 4 if it comes to that. But yeah, so on path 3, you walk it up and down, trying to prevent any special spiders from spawning. And then once you go into phase 4 instantly, you use that disruption method. You make sure that you're 100% adren as you go into phase 4. You get your Ring of Vigor switch on. You store your adren before using Zerk with a Scythe equipped, or Drygors if you prefer using dual Drygors in phase 4, which I know a lot of people do because they prefer switching between melee and magic. But if you Zerk out with a Scythe, and then make sure you're not within melee distance, so a good way of making sure you're not within MD is to turn your walk off, and then once you're set up, you're ready to go using a Dren Pot, get your prayer flicking sorted, which I do manually by the way, because I like to use my abilities manually, and then I flick between my prayers with my mouse. It just works like that for me. And that's just the way I've been doing it recently. But then I'll charge up to Hurricane and just get a huge Hurricane out, and it's so good and feels so satisfying when you get like a 10k and a 9k Hurricane or something. It's just huge. So you can usually drop Araxxor all the way down below the Putric Acid level as the first special spiders spawn. Now, sometimes you can take Araxxor down without any mirrorback spawning, and that is awesome, and I know there'll be a few of you here who can do that fairly often depending on the deeps output. But for me, usually the mirrorback will spawn in a duo Araxxor kill. However, Araxxor's health is so low anyway, you can just switch your focus quickly onto the mirrorback whilst paying attention to your prayer flicks, and then quickly just knock out another couple of abilities, because there's 2 of you, so you can usually just knock out 1 or 2 more abilities each, and then Araxxor will go down. Of course though, it can happen where the mirrorback spawns with this method underneath Araxxor, and that is a glitch. It's happened once before and I had no idea. It was my very first duo Scythe Araxxor kill, and we were about to get it, and then the mirrorback spawned underneath Araxxor. I had no idea what was going on. I panicked. I hit like a 10k Hurricane and then PK'd myself. So it was pretty brutal, but that can happen. Just beware of that. You're not doing anything wrong. It glitches out sometimes. Very rare, but it glitches. And then the other rotation I've completed is paths 2 and 3. And again, I kept having to go down path 3 anyway because I was going for the spider leg bottom, by the way, over the past couple of days or so. And I really like that path purely for the fact that you're not having to worry about any spiders in phase 4, and it's just a breeze. I managed to get up to 300% enraged with duo kills, and managed to get 3 kills in a row at 300% enraged, which I was really happy about. Like, I had no idea that I was able to do that, and after practice I was able to do that with my mate Chewy, and it really is so much fun. I highly recommend using a Scythe here with a mate and going in, learning the ropes, and just being calm in phase 4, getting your prayer flicks right, and you're sorted. I think it felt easier as well after doing pass 1 and 3, where yes, the speed is quite quick going up to phase 4, but once you're into phase 4, you've got to worry about that first special spider spawn. So if you can grasp that, then pass 2 and 3 is a lot easier in phase 4. But that's all I'm going to talk about for the duo Araxxor kills in terms of me testing out the Noxious Scythe. Had a lot of fun with my mate Chewy doing this. So I will see you guys in the next video. Ooh, just before I do go though, I did manage to get the spider leg bottom, so all I have to do now is get a spider leg middle, hopefully tomorrow when the path and rotation changes to 1 and 2. So I'll probably be grinding out a lot of duo Araxxor tomorrow with that new rotation, which is a lot quicker as well. Hopefully get the spider leg middle to make the full spider leg. And also forgot to mention, yeah, kills are slower on path 1 and 3, and some may argue it's not worth duoing, but it's the fun factor that counts, right? I honestly find 1 and 3 rotation very boring when I solo it, so doing it duo was a great way for me to obtain the spider leg bottom, and it motivated me to go for it. Looking forward to rotation 1 and 2 tomorrow though. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you learned a bit from this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, make sure to share your thoughts about duo Araxxor in the comments section, and I'll see you all in the next one.